And now for something completely different.
So I rashly asked out on IRC if anyone had any questions. And David Berlin notes that IBM has already asked why we didn't just donate everything to Apache and expressed displeasure over the choice of the GPL license. And we wondered if you had any...
IBM voiced displeasure over the selection of GPL?
They asked why didn't we just donate the code to Harmony. So I wondered if you had any response to that question. And I have more questions after you've done that one, because they're flowing.
Oh, no, please. No, please. No, please. I think, we're obviously, we consulted with a great many in the community, and among them, by the way, really the fathers of open source, the Free Software Foundation itself. In addition, we worked very closely with Red Hat and other leaders in the open source community, and I think IBM is free to take their implementations and the technologies they've created and go pursue whatever avenue they think is most appropriate. This is what we and the community thought was the right answer. I find it a little curious, I guess, that IBM would oppose the GPL. It seems like an odd stance for them to take after theoretically for so long being a supporter of the GPL. I sure wouldn't want to see them turning their back on the open source community.
Without piling on to Jonathan's comments, I will just note, and I think everybody appreciates this, but I want to highlight it as well, that throughout the analysis process, beginning in May and all throughout, we did a lot of work, both with the community internally in analyzing the optimization points for the licensing choice, right? And I think I cited earlier that developers, distribution, and compatibility were the three driving factors in making this decision. But for a program that has been ongoing and incredibly impactful for 10 years, for the number of interested parties, commercial and community that have been involved, to be fair, there is no perfect choice. And I think what we did is we're very thoughtful and consultative with the entire industry, and we chose what I thought, what we all think, in fact, is best for Java and best for the community, and that's why we did what we did.
I really think this is, and when you read my blog later on today, you'll see me amplify this point, this is a rising tide. And it would not surprise me in the least to see a growing number of proprietary software companies express displeasure with the growing open source movement. I understand it puts a threat and puts a bit of a challenge to conventional business models, but it's a rising tide. What we want to do is we want to see more people come online, the barriers of entry be as low as humanly possible. Those that are trying to defend those barriers, they have other challenges, and it's not just Sun, by the way. I think what they're doing is they're ultimately, they're fighting freedom, and I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of that battle.
So I also have comments here from the GNOME community who send you a warm thanks, and the ClassPath community would also like to thank you very much. They say that they're speechless and they don't have any questions.
So I think to the GCJ and the ClassPath community and the Cafe community, now's the time for us to really get together and try to figure out how do we do the right balancing equation, because we don't want to do any redundant work with you, and we don't want you doing any redundant work with us, and we're more than happy to put all of our efforts together to go really promote ultimately what I think we all share, which is an objective, to drive freedom and drive opportunity for developers.
And I'll leave the rest of the questions for the IRC chat that we've invited all these people to. So if you're all listening, guys, we'll see you on IRC in an hour or so.
Right. Excellent.
Thank you, Simon.
So maybe in one, and thank you very much for the questions. One final question. To what Rich said, there is no one hammer for all nails in the marketplace. And we all have to make choices, and those choices are often very difficult choices and inevitably result in trade-offs, and that's just the nature of a complex marketplace. And maybe I'll leave you to ask your one question before I ask mine. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I just want to add a comment on what you said about adding versus changing. I think it's a gut. Thank you very much for doing that. I call it a gut. You said you will do it, and you did it, and really this is a good contribution. I am an advocate for digital divide, and I wanted to ask you a very nice question. First of all, thank you very much. The comment from the professor saying that is an opportunity for underdeveloped country. I will say it's more than an opportunity. It's really a good, how do you call it, condition for underdeveloped country to participate. But first of all, before participating, I'd like you to tell us what's your vision about digital divide here. Sun has an opportunity to be a leader. on this one. You said you'll open Solaris, you open it. You said you'll open Java, you opened it. I have seen case where Microsoft suing small company because they're hacking, how do you call it, their OS. Now you are telling people do not hack, but use it. So can you please say something about digital divide and what is the positioning of Sun on digital divide? Thank you very much.
Our position is not to spend our time litigating against developers or trying to kill competitors. Both of those in my mind are waste of energy. I was down in Brazil recently and I was with the president of Brazil and I was trying to describe to him why we were so interested in promoting open source and open technologies, trying to give the skills to Brazilians to create the next Google so the next Google could be a Brazilian company and not an American company. And we're trying to do that across the world. There's a member of my staff who's fully and wholly dedicated, along with Simon, to reaching out to governments across the world. Technology has become a social utility. It's incumbent upon all of us at Sun and all of us in the developer community to make sure we convey the value of that utility globally to everyone who's got access to a device that they can use to attach to the internet. So as I was talking to the president of Brazil, he asked me, why on earth are you interested in giving technology away to Brazilians? What are you thinking? I mean, I understand why I want to see it happen because I want to bring all these folks out of the jungles and I want to give them access to education and healthcare and business opportunities. But why on earth do you want to take all this valuable technology and give it away to my citizens? And I described what our objectives were and how our business worked. And he said, oh, I understand now. You are a company that builds radio towers and you want to give all of my citizens radios. And I said, yes, that's exactly it. We're a free media company. We want to give everybody in Brazil a free radio so that they too can listen to and participate in a market that's obviously growing around the world. That is absolutely the mission that we're on. And by the way, it is great for society, it is great for progress, and it is great for business. We just got to keep driving. So the last question before anybody else pops up and asks one. So we now have a fair degree of consistency across Sun, which is first and foremost, we will open source all the technology we build. And I think we've really begun to open the curtains here, and we've said all the software technologies. There's certainly an interesting question that Mr. Fowler and Mr. Yen are going to have to answer about what do we do about hardware designs. Stay tuned on that. But there's potentially an even more interesting one, which is we chose a license that was, at the time, the right license for Solaris. It was called the CDDL, the Common Development and Distribution License. Are you averse to changing the license?
Averse? Oh, well. Certainly not. And in fact, I think today's event and the feedback that we've received to date really casts a very, very positive light on our choices going forward. You know, we have been engaged in open source of our key technologies for some time. And, you know, there's the act of momentum and learning and fostering new markets. And, you know, despite some criticism in the past, I think we have chosen very wisely the paths that we have taken to date.
Will you GPL Solaris, Mr. Green? Is it your testimony that you will GPL Solaris? Sorry, you know, you get on stage with me, you never know what's going to happen. So.
We, and I think that means not you, we'll take a very close look at it. Like I said earlier, I think the feedback has been positive and the growth of Solaris has been incredibly impressive, and the familiarity and comfort level with the license that we've chosen for Java doubtlessly is going to drive a lot of decision making going forward with the existing technologies that we've open sourced, and that is the extent of my answer.
So, and maybe to echo a little bit of what Rich was saying, so Rich has now been back at Sun for 5 whole months. 5 months. Yes. And for those of you that don't know Rich, he's actually a former Navy pilot, and by the way, we brought him back because of that, because he's so accustomed to extreme G-forces. And, you know, I think I want to extend the congratulations from our shareholders as well as from everybody who's been a part of the team making the changes you've been making. The change has been dramatic. I haven't seen any evidence of motion sickness at all, and no altitude sickness either. I want to really give you a round of applause for the changes you've driven and the progress we're making. So, well done. Good luck.
Well, thank you. And with that, I think we're concluding our session for the Sun folks. I think we're having a bit of a celebration in Building 5. Yes? And so all head off there. I think we have some press Q&A for some of us right after this meeting. And so I thank you again. A great day. Thank you.